Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stories with me, Jesse. And today we're once again looking at the people who ask us to decide if their actions were justified over at Reddit/Am I the A-hole? Let me know what you think of these stories in the comments, as well as any suggestions you might have that we may just use in a future installment. Get ready to bring some judgment, cause we're getting started now. Our first story is titled, Would I Be the A-hole for telling my parents I don't wish to follow their religion anymore? I grew up Catholic. My parents and I went to church every Sunday. They always told me that I should always do everything for the greater glory of God. I believed in it until I was about 15. As I started to open my mind, I realized that I didn't like Catholicism. I didn't like the idea that I should get to go to heaven and my best friend, who does not believe in God, will go to hell. It never sat right with me. And the more I thought, the more I didn't want to be Catholic anymore. I'm in my first year of college. I moved to the West Coast, so when I'm talking to my parents on the phone, they'll always ask me if I've been going to church. In the beginning, I would lie and say that I was. However, I would go to bed feeling incredibly ashamed because I was just going to keep lying about my life, and I needed to be honest. One night, when they asked again, I told them that I hadn't gone. Immediately, they sternly told me that I needed to be going to church. I never went to church one single day I was there. Now that I'm back home and in quarantine, I've been going to online church with them. Right now, I don't see church as a time to praise God, but rather as the time I can go and share an experience that my parents love. For example, I love seeing my mom with her hands clasped together, with her eyes closed, because I know how much it means to her. I shouldn't hate them for believing. This is a part of their lives, and I should honor that with as much of my heart as I can. They have done so much to put me where I am in life, and it would be rude to dismiss those efforts. The least I could do is respect their beliefs. That means that I'll still accompany them to church on Christmas and share those experiences with them because I know they'd want me to be there. I just can't bring myself to enter their room, sit them down, and tell them. A part of me believes they're going to get incredibly angry. You're immature. You don't know what you're doing. Blame themselves. Where did we go wrong? We raised you to be better than this, or do everything in their power to convert me back. I'll pray for you. I had a dream God spoke to you. I don't have a desire to study the Bible. I want to break free and find who I really am and my place in the universe without being guilty of not going to church. I also understand that this decision could cause irreparable damage to our relationship, but I'm willing to assume the consequences of my actions. I've been mentally preparing myself for the worst, like my parents refusing to talk to me or casting me as the black sheep in the family. Like everyone else in my extended family, it breaks my heart and makes me feel like crying. But I understand that it is a very real thing that could happen. TLDR, would I be the a-hole for telling my parents, who I am very close to, that I don't want to follow their religion anymore? You definitely wouldn't be the a-hole for being honest with your parents, but I certainly understand why you're reluctant to let them know how you feel. As much as I try and respect differing beliefs, some people have a difficult time accepting that others, especially their own children, don't share the same ideals as they do. They'll most likely be hurt initially, but if they truly love you, they will learn to accept that your beliefs are different. No matter what, it's not healthy to be living a lie just to be accepted. Moving on, our next story is called, Am I the a-hole for telling someone she's the common denominator in her failed friendships? I've been with my partner for a few years now and have met most of his friends. He's very close to his friend group from high school, which I think is very sweet. His best friend is getting married next year, and my boyfriend is one of his groomsmen, so we've been spending more time with his friend group lately. I'm admittedly not super keen on one of his friends, but I've always just chalked it up to personality differences. She's quite loud and dominates conversation a lot, but it's not like I don't like her, I just find her a bit much. We were in a Zoom with boyfriend's friends, shooting shit, and the wedding came up. At one point, we were talking about outfits, etc., and S said how much she hates shopping and was dreading going shopping. She made a weird comment about how she's not so girly, and one of the guys, which I found immature. She's a grown woman after all, but I didn't say anything. S asked if I knew what I was wearing, and I said no, but I had planned to go shopping with a friend of mine who also had an event coming up. I was going to ask S if she'd like to come with us, but she interrupted saying, "Oh, that's so cute. I just don't like stuff like that. I don't hang out with other girls. I just prefer being with the guys," which I found really patronizing, to be honest. It was clear I was annoyed, and the conversation kind of took a turn. "So you have never had a friendship with another woman before?" "No, I have. I just find a lot of girls petty and catty. Don't you?" "No, I don't. I'm friends with lots of women. We compliment each other, go shopping together, and occasionally share pastries sometimes." "Oh, I could never. Girls always talk behind my back." You know, if every single relationship you've ever had with another woman has gone sour, there's a common denominator there. And it's not the fact that there are other women, it's probably you. A couple others laughed and tried to move on to a different topic of conversation, but it was clear S was angry. She logged off early and later texted my boyfriend and said I was way out of line. He replied and told her he didn't think so, and if she was one of the guys, she could get used to a bit of gentle ribbing every now and then. I feel bad because although I felt hurt by her comments, she seems quite insecure to me. Plus, it's not really my relationship group, so I may have been a bit overbearing. Am I the a-hole? In my opinion, you aren't the a-hole. While you were a little blunt in the way you responded, she was certainly dishing out the attitude and acted as if she was somehow better than you for not having feminine friends and being one of the guys. You even considered inviting her to go with you, even if you don't particularly like her, so it's obvious that you've tried to bury the hatchet, but she keeps digging it out and metaphorically waving it around instead of trying to meet you halfway. But what do you guys think? Let's start a conversation about it in the comments. Our next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for keeping a baby, even though the father doesn't want children, and filing for child support?" I, 29 female, have a condition which makes me more or less infertile, or so I was told. Roughly 2 months ago, I had a one-night stand with a guy. I don't use birth control due to my condition, but I did insist on a condom. Lo and behold, I'm pregnant. My gynecologist confirmed it. Now, I'm in a good position financially. I have a stable job and enough savings to live a very comfortable life. I'm close to my parents and sister, so I have decided that I will keep the baby. I have always wanted to be a mom, and this might be my only chance. I contacted the father and told him. I said I'd be happy to co-parent should he be interested, but I understand if he isn't. I would be filing for child support regardless, though. The guy absolutely lost it and said I need to abort the baby and that I lied to him. Apparently, he asked me what my opinion on abortion is to prevent this situation. I remember him asking me, but he never specified his question, and I thought it was more in general. I told him I'm pro-choice, which is true. He must have interpreted this as me saying I'd abort any possible pregnancies. Ever since he has been harassing me to abort, he must have given my number to his parents because today I got a call from his mother imploring me to have an abortion. I have made up my mind and I won't have an abortion. My family is extremely supportive of my decision, but I'm not sure if I'm in the right anymore. Whoa. That is certainly a tough situation, but I don't think you are the a-hole for wanting to keep a child, especially knowing that you might not get another chance given your condition. That being said, if he used a condom, he did try to take precautions, and he probably didn't like hearing about you filing for child support. I just hope you two find a way to be on good terms with each other for the sake of the baby. Our next story is called, "Am I the a-hole for reporting my own daughter to the school for bullying my stepson?" This has happened a year ago, and we are still dealing with the fallout today. Although my daughter was initially getting along with my wife and her son, her attitude completely flipped after we got married. The disrespect and fighting got extremely bad, and eventually, my daughter refused to set foot in our house and only let me see her at my parents' house and out for dinner. I couldn't exactly force her to come to my home, so we kept up the awkward arrangement. Then, as both my daughter and stepson entered their final semester of high school, we found out my daughter was encouraging other kids to bully my stepson. We tried everything to stop her horrible behavior ourselves, but I couldn't discipline her in any way myself, and my ex was empowering her behind the scenes by excusing away her actions. Reaching the absolute limit, I reported her to the school after giving her several chances. I did this despite my stepson telling me not to. The bullying did not stop, but we didn't know that the school had a zero-tolerance policy, and she got removed from her sports team and suspended. This caused an offer from her dream college to be rescinded, which included a sponsorship. There was an unbelievable amount of anger and hatred directed towards my household from my ex, my daughter, and my parents. It got so bad, with legal threats and potentially life-ruining lies, that I agreed in writing to pay for all of her college costs and continue child support until she turns 21. My daughter will be transferring to the original school she wanted to go to in fall, but without a scholarship, so the fees I need to cover will increase. I will have to take a second job to pay all this. My father took back an apprenticeship that was offered to my stepson at my daughter's insistence. He ended up going into his backup program. My daughter was always a sweet child, but it's clear my ex has manipulated her after I remarried. Now I only know about her life through my parents. My marriage is extremely strained, and my stepson doesn't like me anymore. Every day I wonder if I did the right thing. Maybe if I just waited the extra 4 months, it wouldn't have turned out this way. Was it even worth it? Am I the a-hole? Yikes. I'd say that everyone sucks here. Your daughter for bullying your stepson, her mother for encouraging her behavior, you for inadvertently causing the situation to blow up because even though you meant well, you should have had some sense on how the school handles bullying, your father for taking back an apprenticeship at the request of your daughter. This whole situation sucks. So while you're not the biggest a-hole and you really meant to do the right thing, your decision caused everything to explode. And now you're having to pay for it. I know that this isn't what you wanted to have happen, and I certainly hope things improve. Families are supposed to support each other, not attack and sabotage one another. Our final story is titled, Am I the a-hole for grilling my son's new girlfriend and telling him I don't approve? My son, male 20, has been dating a girl he goes to university with for about 6 months now. She's an international student from New Zealand, but has family here, so is staying with them during COVID-19. Due to lockdown restrictions and such, we hadn't met her until a couple nights ago. When I invited her over for dinner with my family, we had FaceTimed a few times, but not spoken a lot. My husband and I are very Catholic and traditional, but spent a lot of our 20s traveling the world, including New Zealand. We visited her hometown, so asked her a few questions about it, which she happily answered. But when I asked her about her Maori heritage and family, she became quite uncomfortable and said she didn't know a whole lot about it, which I find hard to believe. We asked her if she was religious. She laughed and said no. We asked her about her degree, which she seemed very passionate about, but it's a fashion degree, which isn't exactly going to get her very far, in comparison to my son, who is a law student. It's clear she loves my son, and it's mutual, and my other children adored her. But I don't think she's the right fit for my son. Her parents were both 16 when they had her, and she's very open with the fact that they have a strong dislike for each other and haven't spoken since she was 6 months old. She also seems to have a bizarre relationship with each of her parents. After dinner, she went and played Monopoly with my daughters and sons and made a couple crude jokes, as well as laughing at my son, her boyfriend, when he lost. My son asked me if she could stay, and I said she could as long as she slept in a separate room, which he said was ridiculous as they're both 20 and are living together next year. She decided to leave as she didn't feel welcome. After she left, I told my son I didn't approve and that I could set him up with a nice girl from my church if he preferred, but he said he loves her and was furious I would even suggest it. My other son, who's 16, heard me and said he really liked her. My husband said that even if I felt like that, I shouldn't vocalize it because it's clear my son loves her. I understand that, but he should be with someone more suitable for our family, in my opinion. Am I the a-hole? The people of Reddit have dubbed you the a-hole, and I 100% agree. You're trying to dictate who is good enough for your son, even though he's clearly an adult and knows who he's in love with. I can't believe you interrogated her about her beliefs when you first met her, and you seriously have no right to be so controlling. But what did you guys think of this story, or any of today's in general? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for tuning in with me, Jesse. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and check out what other stories I have for you. Have a beautiful day, and don't be an a-hole. I'll catch you in the next one.